You walk into your living room and there it is again, another yellow leaf on your fiddle leaf fig. You've watered it, you've moved it to different spots, you've even talked to it, but those yellow leaves just keep appearing. And every time you pluck one off, you wonder, what am I doing wrong? Here's the truth: yellow leaves aren't random, they're your plant's way of screaming for help. And today, we're going to decode that message together. I'm going to walk you through the 5 most common, completely preventable causes of yellow leaves on your favorite houseplants. And more importantly, exactly how to stop them from ever happening again. By the end of this video, you'll know precisely what your Monstera, your Pothos, your peace lily is trying to tell you, and how to keep those leaves vibrant green forever. Let's dive in. The number 1 reason houseplants develop yellow leaves: watering issues. And I'm not just talking about overwatering, though that's the usual suspect. Underwatering causes yellow leaves too, and the tricky part is, both problems can look almost identical at first glance. Let's start with overwatering, because this is the silent killer of most houseplants. When you water too frequently or your soil doesn't drain properly, the roots literally start to suffocate. They can't breathe, and when roots can't breathe, they begin to rot. Once that happens, your plant can't absorb nutrients or water anymore, even though the soil is soaking wet. The result? Yellow leaves. Usually starting from the bottom of the plant and working their way up. Here, how to spot overwatering specifically: the yellow leaves will feel soft, maybe even mushy. The soil stays wet for days after watering. You might notice a funky smell coming from the pot. That's root rot. And if you're really observant, you'll see the yellowing often comes with brown, soggy spots. Now, underwatering looks different, but the outcome is the same: yellow leaves. When your plant doesn't get enough water, it goes into survival mode. It starts sacrificing older leaves to conserve moisture for new growth. These yellow leaves from underwatering will feel dry, crispy, maybe even papery. The soil pulls away from the edges of the pot. And the yellowing usually affects older, lower leaves first, but they'll be brittle, not soft. So how do you prevent watering-related yellow leaves forever? First, learn your plant's specific watering needs. A snake plant needs water maybe once every 2 to 3 weeks. A calathea, that beauty, wants consistently moist soil. They're completely different. Here's my foolproof method: the finger test. Stick your finger about 2 inches deep into the soil. For most tropical houseplants like Pothos, Monstera, and philodendrons, water when the top 2 inches are dry. For succulents and snake plants, let the soil dry out almost completely. For moisture-loving plants like ferns and calatheas, water when just the top inch is dry. And this is crucial: always check the soil before watering. Don't water on a schedule. Water based on what your plant actually needs right now. The same plant might need water every 5 days in summer and every 12 days in winter. Next, drainage is everything. Make absolutely sure your pot has drainage holes. I don't care how beautiful that ceramic pot is, if water can't escape, your plant will drown. Use a well-draining potting mix. For most houseplants, a mix that contains perlite or orchid bark works beautifully because it allows air to reach the roots. One more thing that changed everything for me: consider the pot size. A tiny plant in a huge pot will sit in wet soil forever because there aren't enough roots to absorb the water. That's a recipe for root rot and yellow leaves. Problem number 2 is incorrect lighting. If your watering is on point but yellow leaves keep appearing, let's talk about light. Because here's what most people don't realize: too much light and too little light both cause yellowing, just in different ways. When your plant gets too much direct sun, especially if it's a tropical plant that naturally lives under a forest canopy, the leaves literally get sunburned. You'll see yellow patches, often with brown, crispy edges. The yellowing appears on the side of the plant facing the window. Fiddle leaf figs, monsteras, and pothos are particularly prone to this. On the flip side, too little light causes a different kind of yellowing. When your plant doesn't get enough light, it can't photosynthesize properly. It starts to weaken, and just like with underwatering, it sacrifices older leaves first. But here's the telltale sign: the new growth will be pale, leggy, reaching desperately toward any light source. The whole plant looks washed out, not just 1 or 2 leaves. So how do you prevent light-related yellow leaves? Know your plant's light requirements. This is non-negotiable. Low-light tolerant plants like pothos, snake plants, and ZZ plants can handle that dim corner, though they'll still thrive better in medium indirect light. Medium light plants, think most philodendrons, monsteras, and prayer plants, need bright indirect light. That usually means a few feet from an east or west-facing window, or near a south-facing window with a sheer curtain. Highlight plants like fiddle leaf figs, most succulents, and crotons want that bright, indirect light for several hours a day. But even these guys can get scorched by harsh afternoon sun through a south or west window. Here's my favorite trick: watch your plant. If it's leaning hard toward the light, it needs more. Rotate it every week or two so all sides get equal exposure. If you see yellow patches with brown edges on the sunny side, pull it back from the window. And if the whole plant looks pale and leggy, move it closer to light or add a grow light. Grow lights, by the way, are absolute game changers if you don't have ideal window exposure. A simple LED grow light can prevent yellow leaves on plants that would otherwise struggle in your space. Next up. Problem number 3 is nutrient deficiencies. Here's something that surprises a lot of plant parents. Even if you're watering perfectly and the light is ideal, your plant can still develop yellow leaves from not getting enough nutrients. Think of it like this: potting soil isn't an infinite food source. Over time, your plant uses up the nutrients, and if you're not replenishing them, deficiencies show up as yellowing. The most common deficiency that causes yellow leaves is nitrogen. Nitrogen is essential for green, leafy growth. When your plant runs out of it, older leaves turn yellow first, usually starting from the tips and edges and moving inward. The plant is pulling nitrogen from old leaves to feed new growth. Iron deficiency looks different. You'll see yellowing between the veins of new leaves while the veins themselves stay green. This is called interveinal chlorosis, and it's common in plants like gardenias or if you're using hard tap water on acid-loving plants. Magnesium deficiency also causes yellowing between veins, but it typically affects older leaves first, not new growth. So how do you prevent nutrient-deficient yellow leaves? Feed your plants, but do it right. During the growing season, spring through early fall, fertilize most houseplants every 2 to 4 weeks with a balanced, water-soluble fertilizer diluted to half strength. I always go half strength because it's better to underfeed than overfeed. In fall and winter, when most plants slow down or go dormant, cut back to once a month or stop entirely. Your snake plant and ZZ plant, they barely need fertilizer at all, maybe once every couple of months in summer. For plants that are heavy feeders like monsteras, fiddle leaf figs, and most flowering plants, you can fertilize every 2 weeks during the growing season. Always fertilize after watering, never on dry soil because that can burn the roots. And here's a preventative step people forget: repot your plants every 1 to 2 years. Fresh potting soil contains nutrients that will carry your plant for months. Even if your plant hasn't outgrown its pot, refreshing the soil prevents nutrient depletion and the yellow leaves that come with it. If you prefer organic options, worm castings or compost tea work beautifully and release nutrients slowly over time. Next up. Problem number 4 is environmental stress. Your plant is sensitive to its environment in ways you might not realize. Temperature swings, cold drafts, low humidity, and even the shock of moving to a new location can all trigger yellow leaves. This is environmental stress, and it's more common than you'd think. Most tropical houseplants like peace lilies, calatheas, and ferns love temperatures between 65 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. When temperatures drop below 50 or spike above 90, stress happens. You'll see yellowing, drooping, or both. And here's the sneaky part: a plant sitting near a drafty window in winter or directly under an air conditioning vent in summer is experiencing temperature stress, even if your room feels fine to you. Low humidity is another massive cause of yellow leaves, especially for moisture-loving plants. If the air in your home is dry, particularly in winter when heating systems run constantly, plants like calatheas, ferns, and prayer plants will show their unhappiness through yellowing, browning leaf edges and crispy tips. So how do you prevent environmental stress? First, keep your plants away from drafts. That means not right next to exterior doors, drafty windows, heating vents, or air conditioners. Even a ceiling fan blowing directly on a plant can dry it out. Maintain stable temperatures. Avoid placing plants where they'll experience sudden temperature changes, like near a fireplace or a frequently open door in winter. For humidity, this one change saved my calathea and my Monstera. I got a humidifier. Running it near my plants, especially in winter, keeps the humidity between 40 and 60%, which is ideal for most tropicals. If a humidifier isn't an option, group your plants together. They create a little microclimate of humidity. Or place pots on trays filled with pebbles and water. Just make sure the pot bottom isn't sitting in the water. Misting can help temporarily, but it's not a long-term humidity solution. It evaporates too quickly. And here's something important. When you first bring a plant home or move it to a new spot, expect some adjustment. A few yellow leaves during this transition period is normal. The plant is acclimating. Just keep its care consistent and it'll stabilize. Problem number 4 is root issues and aging. The final cause of yellow leaves is all about what's happening underground and the natural life cycle of your plant. Sometimes yellow leaves are actually normal, and sometimes they're a sign your plant has outgrown its home. Let's start with the natural part, aging leaves. Every plant, no matter how healthy, will eventually shed its oldest leaves. They turn yellow and drop off to make room for new growth. This is completely normal, especially on fast-growing plants like pothos. If you see 1 or 2 lower, older leaves turning yellow while the rest of the plant looks vibrant and you're seeing new growth, don't panic. That's just your plant doing its thing. Gently remove the yellow leaf and move on. But if multiple leaves are yellowing, or if new leaves are affected, that's different. That often points to the plant being root-bound. When roots run out of space, they circle the pot, getting tangled and compressed. They can't absorb water or nutrients efficiently anymore. Root-bound plants will often have yellow leaves, stunted growth, and water that runs straight through the pot. Because there's more root than soil. How do you check? Gently slide the plant out of its pot. If you see a dense mass of roots circling the bottom or sides, it's time to repot. Choose a pot that's 1 to 2 inches larger in diameter, not huge. Use fresh, appropriate potting mix and gently loosen the root ball before repotting so the roots can spread into the new soil. Poor drainage is the other underground issue that causes yellow leaves, and we touched on this with overwatering. But it's worth repeating, compacted soil or soil that's broken down over time stops draining properly. Water sits, roots suffocate, yellow leaves appear. If your soil is compacted or stays wet for days, repot with fresh, well-draining mix even if the plant isn't root-bound. And one last thing, always check for pests. Spider mites, aphids, and scale insects all stress plants and can cause yellowing. If you see tiny bugs, webbing, or sticky residue, treat immediately with insecticidal soap or neem oil. Alright, let's bring this all together. You now know the 5 most common, completely preventable causes of yellow leaves on your houseplants. Number 1, improper watering, whether too much or too little. Check your soil before watering, ensure good drainage, and know your plant's needs. Number 2, incorrect lighting. Give your plant the right amount of light for its species and watch for signs it needs more or less. Number 3, nutrient deficiencies. Fertilize during the growing season and refresh soil regularly. Number 4, environmental stress from temperature swings, drafts, and low humidity. Keep conditions stable and consider a humidifier. And number 5, root issues like being root-bound or simply natural aging leaves. Here's the beautiful part, now that you understand what causes yellow leaves, you can prevent them. You can walk into your space, look at your Monstera, your Fiddle leaf fig, your peace lily, and know exactly what they need to stay healthy and green. If this video helped you figure out why your plant has yellow leaves, drop a comment below and let me know which cause it was. I read every single comment, and if you want daily plant care tips, watering reminders, and more videos like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload here at Plantify Daily. Your plants are counting on you. And now you've got everything you need to keep them thriving. Happy planting!